Hello and welcome to the Math Bender by Adnan Zaidi. In this session, we'll discuss Pythagoras theorem and where do we apply Pythagoras theorem. So we already are familiar what a right angle triangle is. So let's say if we have a right angle triangle here and this is a 90-degree angle. The side that is opposite to it, let's call it C for now. The rest of the two sides, let's call A and B. The side that is opposite to the 90-degree angle is the longest side, and hence we call it hypotenuse. You may call rest of the other two sides you can name them anything right now, that doesn't matter. So according to the Pythagorean theorem, it states that if there is a 90-degree angle in a triangle, which means it's a right angle triangle, then Pythagoras theorem states that hypotenuse square is equals to a squared plus b squared, and this is all we need to know what a Pythagorean theorem. So let's see some of the questions here and we'll try to figure. So the first step in attempting these type of questions, these type of triangles where you see a symbol like this already, all you have to do is that you first step is identify the longest side. So this is the hypotenuse here, which is x. Rest of the other two sides, you can just write them down as it is. That doesn't matter. So now for the first one, you can say I apply Pythagoras theorem. When we apply Pythagorean theorem, then we say that x squared, which is the longest side, is equals to 4.6 squared plus 9.4 squared. And if I apply that, 4.6 squared plus 9.4 squared, which gives you x squared is equals to 109.52. And if you want to find x, you root both sides, you apply the square root, and you will get the value as x is equals to 10.5 meters. Now for this one, for another question, as you could see that the longest side is this, opposite to the 90-degree angle. Rest of the other two sides are there. If I apply Pythagoras theorem in this context, then I'll see that the longest side is C, which is 7.8 meters squared, is equals to x squared plus 3.3 squared. Now in order to make x the subject, I subtract 7.8 squared minus I add negative 3.3 squared both sides, and hence what I get is x squared is equals to 7.8 squared minus 3.3 squared. You can directly write 7.8 squared minus 3.3 squared. The answer is 49.95. So x squared is 49.95. You square root both sides and x gives you 7.1. So these are some of the type of questions of Pythagorean. Let's look at another more complex example. You have to find out angle x. The side x. So let's mark these points, these vertex A, B, C, and D. I can see two triangles. One is A, B, and C. The other one is the bigger triangle. Let's make that 2. A, B, and D. So A, B, and D. Let's mark these. So as I see AD is 15, I'll mark it here. Angle B is 90 degrees. So now if I see this, AC is X is what I need to find, BC is 2, and if you see BD, the biggest side that is there, which is 3 plus 2, which is 5. Now I need to find X. In this triangle, in ABC, triangle ABC, there are too many unknowns. For example, I need to find X, which I have to, but I don't know AB either. But if I see triangle ABD, I have one unknown, and I will have to solve ABD triangle first in order to find the side length of the side AB. So I'll write triangle ABD. I'm approaching triangle ABD first and apply Pythagorean theorem. So when I apply Pythagorean theorem, I'll see that this is the longest side, 15. So 15 squared is equals to AB squared, I just wrote it as it is, plus 5 squared. And 15 squared minus 5 squared is equals to AB squared. So what I could do is, so 15 squared minus 5 squared is 200. So AB squared is equals to 200. And if I root it, I'll get the answer as 14.1. So AB, length of AB is 14.1. I can write this as 14.1. Now, this is as well shared. So now, in order to find X, I can now take triangle ABC, and this is the longest side here. X squared is equals to 2 squared plus 14.1 squared. Now I can find that. So 14.1 squared plus 2 squared, which gives you 202 points. So x squared is equals to 202.8. And if I root it, so I need to apply square root in order to find the values. So if I root it, x is going to be 14.2. So see, if we need to find this, is going to be 14.2. So for solving any complex situation like this, you need to break it down to multiple right angle triangles. Now let's look at another question here. Adam runs diagonally across the field. So this is the path that Adam took. And Ben runs around the edge. So this is the path that Ben had taken. So looking at that, how far does Ben run? So as I see it, if this path here is 200, so this path here is as well 200 meters. And this is as well 120, it shows a rectangle. So for part A, as I can see, 200 plus 120 meters, which is equals to 320 meters, the distance Ben had to. How far Adam run? So now, in order to find Adam, let's see it with a right angle triangle. So this is how far, this is the path that Adam had taken. Let's call it A. This is 200 and this is 120. Nobody has to mention you, but it's understood that this is a 90-degree angle. So for part B, what you have to do is you write 120 squared plus 200 squared is equals to A squared. So all you have to do is just 120 squared plus 200 squared is a squared is equals to 54400. And if you want to find, so you apply square root both sides to cancel that. So a is equals to, if you square root it, the answer turns out to be 233.2. So this is the distance Adam had taken. This is 233.2. How much further does Ben run than the Adam? So it's obviously the distance that Ben had taken was 320, and if I subtract 233.2 gives me the difference. So 320 minus 233.2, which gives you 86.8 is the distance Ben had more ran. So now let's look at more Pythagorean in context with other triangles. In other triangles, so let's say if we know that a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared, we know that it is a right angle triangle. So it's a right angle triangle. But if we have any other triangles that we need to focus at, then we say if it is a squared plus b squared less than c squared, which means the sum of the square of other two sides is less than the longest side, then we say that it is an acute angle triangle, obtuse angle triangle. So it may look like this. One of the angle, as you can see that this angle is obtuse. But if the same case, if I say that one of the angle, if a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, we say that it is acute angled triangle, which means that the sum of the square of rest of the two sides is greater than the longest side. It may look like this. We already have studied how acute angle triangle or obtuse angle triangle look like. Let's see if we have a question like this. So if we have to determine whether it's an acute, obtuse or right angle triangle, by just looking at it, and I can identify that this is the longest side. So it's understood. So let's write down 19 squared is equals to, so we'll find out 19 squared is 361. And if I add rest of the other two sides, 8 squared plus 15 squared, which is going to be so 289. As I can see that this was c, and I can say c squared is greater than a squared plus b squared, or 361 was greater than 289. Hence, it is an obtuse angle triangle. I hope I've made myself clear in this lecture. We'll discuss further on trigonometric ratios related to right angle triangles in our next session. Until then, take care. Bye.